Alright, my friends, so it's time for us to start writing React code, right? So here my courses.json file, which I have filled it with these information that I am going to use inside my let's say my project. Okay, so feel free to go ahead and use the exact same file that I have provided you that is being attached to this lecture. Otherwise, what I will do, I will go ahead inside my source folder. I'm gonna right click and choose a new file. I'm gonna call it index.js. Okay, feel free to name it anything, whatever you want, really. Okay, doesn't really matter. For example, call it home.js, up.js, whatsoever you want. Okay, and here we are going to take this file and let's say set it as our boss for our project. So what I will do, first of all, I'm going to import React DOM. Okay, this is the library that we are going to use, from React DOM, like this. Okay, this is the library that we are going to use to make some, let's say, connection between our React code as well as our index.html right here, because once again, this file right here will be like the file that will be served to the user. Okay, so that's why we want to make some connection between our code and this file right here. If you take a look right here, we have this div right here. Okay, this specific div has this ID of root. Okay, we are going to take all our code that we have wrote inside our index.js and inject it in this div right here using this thing right here called React DOM. Okay, so what I will do here on the bottom, I'm gonna type React DOM.render. We have this method right here that we can use, okay, to let's say go ahead and render something to the user. Now we have learned about named export, okay, but here we are importing any default export from this library, okay, called React DOM. Of course, we can change it to anything like this, okay, doesn't really matter, but we are usually by convention, what we are going to do, we are going to name our import right here the exact same name here for the package or for the path, let's say. All right, and here I'm typing React DOM, which is the object that been exported from React DOM library, and we are using one of the method built into this object, which is render, and this method take two parameters. The first one is the thing that we want to render to the user. Okay, in this case we do not have anything except this index.js, so that's why inside my source folder I'm gonna create a new folder. I'm just gonna call it components like this, and in this component folder, I'm gonna right click and create a new file. I'm just gonna call it app.js. Feel free to call it home.js, boss.js, whatsoever. Okay, so this is the file that we are going to use as our entry point for, or let's say the code that we are going to write in this app.js will be used or injected in this render method. So later on it can be served to our index.html. All right, so in order for us to do that, we have to call it, and first of all I'm going to import it. So import app, and since it's empty, so I'm going to go to the components folder and choose our app file. So the first thing first, I'm going to render my app component like this. Okay, this is how you can call or execute a component. It's a few lines of code that will do specific things for us. All right, and this app.js, it's empty. Later on I'm going to show you how to fill it with some code that can be useful for us. For the time being, what I will do here, I have my import. I have imported, even it's empty, do not worry, and here I have used it. So as you can see, this is how you can call a component, React component, using this syntax right here. And the second parameter for this function right here, it is where do we want to render this app component. And what we can do, we can use the document dot get element by ID. This is the function that built to the DOM that will help us to choose one of our index.html tags so we can use it to render something to the user. And in this case, I am interested in any div or any tag has an ID of root, because this is our ID right here. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, in this video we have showed you how you can use index.js to let's say render anything that will come from our app.js. Now a very good question can be here, hey, can we go ahead and delete our index.js and move all this code right here to app.js? Well, this is a very good question. Now we have a very good answer for this question, but you cannot understand it now, because once we add code to the app.js file, you will see immediately that it cannot ever hold this code right here. So that's why we are going to choose to separate between the index.js as well as for the app.js, because later on the app.js will hold all the routing, some extra stuff, like for example, if we are going to use some redux stuff, maybe we are going to deal with the app.js. So I highly encourage you to don't think about any question for the time being. Just follow me and I'm going to make everything crystal clear for you. Okay, for the time being, we have learned that the only job for the index.js, it is to make a connection between our index.html as well as our app.js, which will be the root, as you will see in the next few videos. And how the index will do that? We'll do that using the render method from the React DOM library, which come by default installed in any React application. And if you wanna let's approve for that, if you can open the package.json, we can see here on the dependencies area, okay, you can see the React DOM being installed by default with this version right here. So that's why we were able to use it in this specific file. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully that makes sense. In the next video, we are gonna write some code and view it in the browser so we can make sure that we haven't made any mistake. See you in that one.